So today I want to quickly discuss why MicroStrategy getting included into the $26 trillion Nasdaq market on Friday in 3 days' time has the potential to create a hell of a short squeeze, not only on MicroStrategy, but also a short squeeze on Bitcoin. Because as I'm about to show you, we can see that when MicroStrategy joins the Nasdaq 100, many people are predicting a $2.1 billion ETF buying spree on MicroStrategy. So for those who don't know or don't understand, once a stock gets included into the Nasdaq or the S&P 500, all of a sudden there is essentially a passive bid or an unlimited flow of capital that gets pushed into each individual stock. So when somebody buys a share of the Nasdaq, all of a sudden, somebody's going to be buying a little piece of Bitcoin because they're going to be buying a little piece of MicroStrategy. So I believe this is potentially a recipe or a piece in the, in the puzzle piece, so to say, that could create a little bit of a flaw on the price of Bitcoin. Because again, let's not forget, when the markets start to crash, who has to bail out the markets? And what happens? If the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq starts to crash, what happens? Central banks begin printing money. They begin creating these special purpose vehicles that they tell to go out there and buy the indices like the Nasdaq and like the S&P 500. And now, essentially, every single time we see a downturn, central banks are going to be printing money to buy these stock indices, which is going to be pumping MicroStrategy, putting a little bit of a floor price on MicroStrategy. And as we're about to see, I don't think MicroStrategy needs central banks printing money to help prop itself up, because we can see very clearly that the price chart of MicroStrategy looks absolutely bananas. Look at how ridiculous this thing looks. Okay, it is already 100% higher than its 2021 all-time high. It's rallied from before the Bitcoin strategy in 2020. Let's look at the stock price of MSTR. It was like $18. It recently hit $530. Okay, I don't think I need to tell you guys that things are pretty wonky. Things are pretty crazy. MicroStrategy is the best performing stock. It's outperformed everything in the S&P 500. It's outperformed everything in the Nasdaq 100. And now it's finally been rewarded by being included into the Nasdaq on Friday. So I want to first kind of break down what's happening. What's the news? Why are we about to see $2.1 billion of ETF share buying expected for MicroStrategy? Okay, but I also want to talk about what is the end game. What is the logical end game of MicroStrategy being included into the Nasdaq? Okay, because we do know, I kind of teased it a moment ago, but we do know that already central banks are already right now today printing money and buying MSTR. Now, I think MicroStrategy being included into the 100 largest companies in the US, the 100 largest tech companies in the US. Sorry, let me make sure I'm very factually accurate here. That is what the Nasdaq is. The Nasdaq is the 100 largest tech companies in the US. Okay, how big is it? It's a $26 trillion market. I actually have a couple of visualizations to show you guys just how big the Nasdaq is. Okay, we can see here, this is a breakdown. This is my favorite website. So this is all of the money in the world visualized. Okay, again, they don't update this as frequently as I would love them to update it, but we can see this is a breakdown of the global stock markets. And we can see the Nasdaq in the dark blue here. This makes up 18% of all of the global stock markets. I'm going to zoom all the way in so you guys can see what I'm cooking with here. And we can see the New York Stock Exchange, 24.9% of the global markets. The Nasdaq, 18% of the global markets. So the Nasdaq is bigger than all of the stock market in China. So this is the Shanghai Stock Exchange, only 6%. The Nasdaq is 3 times bigger. Again, there's how many people in China? Blow me up in the chat with the exact number of people in China. What? Over 1 billion people? And the Nasdaq is 3 times larger than the main stock exchange in China. Okay, same thing with Europe. We can see here, let's have a look. Europe is the kind of purplish color. It's a little bit pink, a little bit purple in the middle. The Nasdaq is nearly 4 times bigger than the Euro next. Same thing with Japan here on the right. This is very pink. The Nasdaq is 3.5 times bigger. Okay, so that being included into the Nasdaq is a pretty big deal. Okay, when you're in the Nasdaq, you're alongside some of the big boy names here on this list. This is a list of the biggest assets around the world. We can see Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, Meta. A lot of these companies here, yes, they're in the S&P 500, but they're also in the Nasdaq, because again, the Nasdaq is the largest tech companies around the world. Okay, and I think MicroStrategy finally earning its place in the Nasdaq 100 is going to be a stepping stone that I believe puts Bitcoin on a path to, let's say, I'm not going to say a path to eliminate the bear markets, but I think we're slowly getting to a stage where the bear markets could be a little bit less volatile to the downside. I still think our bull runs are going to be incredibly volatile to the upside. And again, I don't know what's going to happen, but I am saying that this kind of passive bid is really interesting. Mike Green kind of talks a lot about how passive investing has fundamentally changed the stock markets. Okay, since the late 1990s, when passive investing was introduced, all of a sudden everybody's pension fund, everybody's 401k essentially started buying the indices indiscriminately. Doesn't matter what the price is. The money managers controlling people's 401ks and superannuation funds just started allocating to the stock market every single week, every single month. Okay, doesn't matter what the price is. These money managers just indiscriminately buy the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100. And again, if they're indiscriminately just allocating to the Nasdaq 100, now they are buying MSTR. Doesn't matter if anyone's fearful for recessions, depressions, or it doesn't matter if somebody's scared of a Bitcoin top, or the fact that maybe the MicroStrategy stock price might be looking a little bit crazy like it is right now. Now there's a passive bid coming into Bitcoin. There is a passive bid buying MicroStrategy once it gets included into the Nasdaq. The game has changed. I really do think the game has changed. MicroStrategy's addition to the Nasdaq 100 on December 23rd is expected to drive 2.1 billion in ETF share purchases, potentially bolstering its Bitcoin holdings. You see what's happening here? Once MicroStrategy is included into the Nasdaq, we're going to see MicroStrategy stock price go up, and that flywheel is going to continue. What's the flywheel? MicroStrategy share price up. Michael Saylor issues more debt, and he buys more Bitcoin. This flywheel is going to absolutely knock the socks off TradFi. TradFi doesn't know what's coming for them, and MicroStrategy has really opened up a portal into the digital realm here. I think they are going to act a little bit like a black hole. And I mean, how big's the debt market? Hundreds of trillions of dollars. It's pretty big. It is pretty big. Again, MicroStrategy right now squatting on 423,000 Bitcoin. I think things are going to change here. As you can see, literally everybody is talking about this right now. MicroStrategy expected to be added to the Nasdaq 100. Bloomberg is losing its mind. Michael says, happy QQQ day. Love it. Rock VTM's in the chat. G'day, my friend. Jeremiah looks to be our first commenter over there on Twitter. Welcome to everybody tuning in on Twitter. If you are enjoying the MicroStrategy bullishness, as All Night Hider says, we would appreciate a pumping of the likes. We have 1,722 of you guys tuning in on 6:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. That's the time here it is in Peru. I don't know what time it is where you guys are, but we're doing a little bit of a late live stream today because this news literally broke today, and I wanted to do a quick live stream and show you guys why I think this needs to be something that we're all watching. Okay, we do really all need to be watching what is going on with MicroStrategy. Okay, I think we're going to be seeing some pretty big things, some pretty interesting things from MicroStrategy in the years to come. I don't think they're finished buying their Bitcoin. I think we're only going to see MicroStrategy buy more and more and more Bitcoin. Okay, I think we are in the early stages of this bull run. Again, MicroStrategy, they are a massive public company. Okay, and again, yes, it's great that they're buying Bitcoin, but again, I wouldn't like you guys to forget that you should also be buying your own Bitcoin if you are new to Bitcoin. Again, we always recommend that you guys check out what Rhino Bitcoin is doing. As you guys can see, they have a really, really nice user interface. We consider Rhino Bitcoin to be the all-in-one Bitcoin super application. You can buy Bitcoin on Rhino, sell Bitcoin on Rhino. You can send Bitcoin all around the world using the Lightning Network. And pretty soon, you're even going to be able to borrow money against your Bitcoin. Again, nobody wants to sell their Bitcoin in a bull run. We understand that. Some people might want to lock in some profits, but maybe selling your Bitcoin outright and taking a tax hit might not be the best idea. Again, maybe investigate whether borrowing against your Bitcoin is an okay idea for a small portion of your stack. Again, nothing on this channel should be considered investment advice, but keep a close eye on what Rhino is doing, okay? Everything you need to know about Rhino is linked down below. And Rhino is actually being a little bit gracious to you guys. They're going to be giving you guys $10 of free Bitcoin if you sign up and you use a promo code Bitcoin News. Yes, $10 of free Bitcoin. Everything you need to know to get your $10 of free Bitcoin will be linked down below in the description of today's show. So again, MicroStrategy being included into the Nasdaq is a really, really, really big deal. Okay, it's a big, big, big deal. Okay, we can see here, Nasdaq listed workshop adopts Bitcoin for treasury strategy. Okay, everybody right now is FOMOing into MicroStrategy. We have central banks around the world literally printing fiat to buy MicroStrategy. Yes, the central banks of Norway and Switzerland earlier in the year got exposed. Well, they didn't get exposed. They had to disclose that they were actually sitting on large MicroStrategy positions. And we only found out this information because at the end of each quarter, they had to actually say, these are our holdings. We found out that these central banks are not only buying shares of MicroStrategy, but they were increasing their positions in MicroStrategy all throughout 2024, all throughout the period of time that many people were saying that Bitcoin's topped, it's all over. Bitcoin's never consolidated for 8 months at an all-time high. This is a sign of distribution. This is what some people were saying earlier in the year when Bitcoin was consolidating here at, what was it consolidating between? 70,000 and 50,000 here for a very long time. I have the hammers on this chart for you guys to see. Every one of these hammers, people are like, oh, Bitcoin's topped at $70,000. The whales are distributing their Bitcoin. Bitcoin's never going to break above 70,000. Gareth Soloway was shorting Bitcoin at 60,000, 65,000, 70,000. We told you guys, don't listen to the bears. The bears do not understand the fundamentals of Bitcoin. They're not looking at Bitcoin the way we should be looking at it. Again, the price looks a little bit crazy and unpredictable when it's looking like this. It's a linear chart. If you put it on a log chart, it looks pretty clear that Bitcoin only trends up and to the right. I want to give you guys a better visualization of what I mean here. And we're going to zoom out and take a look at the 12-year chart of Bitcoin. But as you can see, I mean, like clockwork, let me take the lines off the chart. Like clockwork, Bitcoin is trending up and to the right. This is what the adoption of digital scarcity looks like. Yes, there's some hype bubbles. Yes, it's volatile. Yes, there's lots of 80% drawdowns. This is how all technologies get adopted. Again, Amazon had how many 80% drawdowns? 4 in its early days. Multiple 50, 60% drawdowns in Amazon when it was young, being adopted. It was very volatile. Did that mean that Amazon was not an incredible technology company that was being adopted by the world? No. This is what I believe a lot of the naysayers get wrong with Bitcoin. I mean, it's hard to argue with this chart right here. There's 2,317 of you guys tuning in. If you enjoyed this live stream, make sure you subscribe because we're going live at least another 3 more times this week because there is a lot of bullish news happening. So again, subscribe if you don't want to miss that. If you enjoyed this short and sharp little live stream, we would appreciate a smashing of the like button down below. if you are looking for somewhere to buy your Bitcoin, check out Rhino Bitcoin, link down below. And with all that said, I'm going to end this live stream here. We like to keep the live stream short and sharp and give you guys the news with the fast facts. I think we all need to be paying closer attention to what MicroStrategy is doing, because I think a potential short squeeze is brewing, not just in the MicroStrategy stock price, but also in Bitcoin. So with all that said, guys, hope you enjoyed that one, and I'm going to see you guys in another live stream soon.